Hello, everyone. Welcome to Small Biz Tips. So, a couple weeks ago, I attended this networking event, and next to me is this guy that was super sharp. I'm like, who is this guy? So we started talking. I'm like, wow, I had to bring him on the podcast, guys. Robert, what's going on, man?
Man, everything's going on in anything. So happy to be here with you, buddy.
Thanks for jumping on. Appreciate you, man. So, before we go any further, right? Who is Robert?
Man, that's a great question. I like to tell everybody if I got one word, I'm an investor, man. I've learned that, my secret sauce to life is being able to own my own lifestyle, and
Hmm.
investment has been the best way to do it. I'm from Chicago, Illinois.
Hmm.
Went through the public schools, dropped out of high school, got in the gang, got in trouble. My mother said, you know
Wow.
what? You need to do something with your life. Sent me to Oklahoma to live with my uncle. And
Uh-huh.
I ended up, just getting my life together, man. And he forced me to learn about IT in high
Wow.
school, man. And it ended up becoming I ended up starting an IT company, man. Sold it to Microsoft for $10 million, and really
Sheesh.
start saying, "Hey, I got
Congrats.
all this money and I don't know what to do with it." And so, yeah, so that became my journey for starting companies. So I realized, hey, the key to secret sauce is figuring out where's the demand and skills,
Hmm.
opportunities. And so for me, that jumping into IT, I didn't do the college thing originally. I did the
Wow.
IT certifications and kind of worked for the big companies like the Microsofts and the Cisco's as a
Yeah.
consultant. Realized how much they was making off of me doing all the work. And I said, hey, let me do my own thing, and started a cybersecurity company. So yeah, that went from one employee to 155 employees, sold it for 10 million, which I learned
Sheesh.
later was way undervalued. But you live and
Uh-huh.
you learn. Took those funds and went to got into real estate investing, buying single family homes and
Wow.
rent them out, and apartment buildings. And then I got into the opportunity to invest in restaurants. So Fogo de Chao, that's a big Brazilian steakhouse across
Yes.
the. I was one of the original investors into that program, and that just really whet my appetite for finding the ways to invest and grow your
Hmm.
money, which led me to a 2 year study, doing being a stockbroker and investing into the stock market. And yeah, man, so
Wow.
it's just been education after education and learning after learning, and most importantly, learning how to make money work for me.
Mm.
And that I had the wrong mindset with money. I saw money as this thing you use to buy, not this tool that you use to leverage.
Mm.
So that changed
Mm.
everything for me. That key mindset switch. Uh,
Yeah.
everything everything else has allowed me to build a $50 million net worth and run $100 million worth of assets.
Whew, whew. It's so much to unpack, my friend. Wow. You've lived. You've lived. So let's go back, right? You started an IT company, cybersecurity to be more specific. Around
Yes.
what time was that? And like, yeah, let's start there.
You know what, man? I actually was one of those young people who got into IT during the dot-com boom, late '90s, early
Mm.
2000s.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I was also launching my career when the dot-com bubble bust, and when
Oh,
people just
wow.
throwing money, so everybody was getting laid off and companies was going out of business. And I said, and what I learned from that was, while companies was going out of business, the skills is here to stay, the digital skills.
Mm-hmm.
So I really started learning how to get my skill sets and get all the certifications, and I started my own school. And so I started teaching these boot camps and teaching people how to become engineers in cloud, cybersecurity, et cetera. And it was really from that teaching that a lot of the people I trained was IT directors and managers of big companies. And they was like, man, you know this
Yeah.
stuff well. Can you coach us? And that brought me
Wow.
into the coaching business. And so, yeah, from that point on, I realized, man, a lot of the wealth comes from you just doing something that you naturally have fun at and you're gifted
Yeah.
at, and monetizing it. And so that's what I've been doing, creating my own IP of how I deliver training,
Mhm.
taking complex technologies and breaking it down to simple terms and helping companies turn it into business strategy.
So what attracted, you said Microsoft that purchased it from you? What attracted
Yes.
them back then that said, you know what, I want this?
I think what it really was is I had the foresight from seeing when I got into IT cybersecurity certification. The one of the highest ones you can get is called the CCIE security through
Okay.
Cisco and CISSP. I knew that was very hard, but a lot of people didn't have it. So I
Mhm.
worked 2 3 years to get those certifications, and then I knew right away when they just threw $200,000 salaries at me at the age of 23 that, like, wow, if you pay me 223, my question was how much I'm making for you. And when I
Mm.
learned that the team and myself, we was doing about $10 million worth of work and making
Wow.
like less than $1 million in salaries between all of us. I was like, wow, if I could figure out how to do this for myself. So what I ended up doing was just going to small businesses, like I was strategic. I went to the lawyers who was
Yeah.
connected to the law firms. I went to the accountants who was connected to the CPA firms
Hmm.
and said, hey, I can do your cybersecurity, protect your data, et cetera, at a way lower rate than the big IBMs and the Microsofts and all of those guys. So I think what
Wow.
happened was they didn't take me serious. Into that grew into a once we hit about $50 million in revenue, Microsoft said, hey, there's a growing need for cybersecurity. We need to
Mm.
start finding out who the experts at implementing the actual solutions and coming up with the recommendations for controls and start buying people out and build it as a consulting practice. So they basically gave Accenture the task of finding very
Hmm.
regional companies and build them into one big solid organization.
Now, let me ask you this. You grew that business to 50 million.
To 50 million in revenue, that's correct.
How long did it take you to do that? And
I
what was the
started in
biggest?
2003
Yeah.
and our first year was 200. I started September. Technically, I started the day 9/11 happened, 2001. I got laid off. And
Wow.
so September 12th, 2001 to the end of the year, I made
Yeah.
267,000. The following year, I made 1.5 million. And then the next 2 years, it went up from 25 million to 50 million because cybersecurity became a thing because everybody was getting
Yeah.
when you saw the nightly news, it led off with, oh, people got hacked. Oh, new virus out there, new malware. Then
Mm.
the government started cracking down on companies' responsibility protecting their customers' data. And so I
Hmm.
realized real fast, while I'm in the middle of something here, and I didn't have to have the best product, I just had to have a feasible product. And I
Mm.
knew somebody would take it and try to take it to the next level. So I just wanted to be valuable enough to be noticed.
Ooh, what was your biggest lesson growing that fast in like was it 4 or 5 year period?
You know what? I think the biggest thing I learned that success is about leveraging other people,
Okay.
leveraging and not trying to do it yourself. Like, for example,
Mhm.
I actually applied to law school because what I was going to do is take it to the next level and say, hey, not only do we protect your cybersecurity with the technical skills, but we'll protect your intellectual property. So I call this cyber law. We're going to do it all. And a mentor said to me, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Just hire lawyers. So hire people who are already experts and you just go out there and get the business. So when I did that, I started learning, oh, there's a lot of people out here who know cyber, that know the law. Let me
Hmm.
just build a company and then
Mm.
sell the services and what the need is, and then leverage other people to come do the work. So the truth of the matter is you can grow fast when you just leverage other people and not try to be the expert at everything.
Jeez, I love it. So now you got 10 million, right? Did you take all out in cash? Like what'd you end up doing? Because taxes ain't no joke.
Again, not understanding how all is worth. I took all cash, man, and they took
Uh,
40. They took 40% off the top, so I ended up with 6 million of it. And
Jeez.
we will fast forward a little bit later, but I wasn't a steward of that money, man. I actually went through bankruptcy in 2008 because again, I
Wow.
took that $6 million and I started buying
Yeah.
real estate. But
Yeah.
when I was buying real estate, I was just getting loans for everything, man. I wasn't really putting equity into it, and it
Yeah.
was great. But then when the housing bubble hit in 2008, all these people couldn't pay their rent. I'm
Oh my
stuck with
God.
millions of dollars of loans. So I had to go through the bankruptcy for that, man. And so I went from that $6 million down to like 250,000. So this 50 million that I'm talking about now was rebuilt from 2009.
Wow.
But the good
So
thing is I learned that
yeah.
it's about the skills. If you understand how money work, how business work, you can always get it back.
So let's fast forward, right? 50 million now. What's been your biggest mistake from then to now that's really like you're like, oh, okay, now learn something new from that.
I will by far it is not knowing how to make my money work for me. So for me, you make $1 million. I was where I'm from. Sure, you make $1 million, you're a millionaire, you're rich. So that's just supposed to,
I
that's supposed to
know what you
last you.
mean.
That's supposed to last you there. But if you minus that Bentley car you go and buy, you're already down. A
Yeah.
millionaire. So I think for me it was about leveraging my money and making it work for me. How can I put this money to work for me so that I'm just living off the interest, the compounding interest? And what happened is that I understood it was about leveraging money, but also it's about leveraging people and it's about
Okay.
leveraging time. But then the most important thing happened to me, which was I tell people the first million was way harder than the last 40 million because I thought it took my own money, my own credit, my own time to do it.
Hmm.
What you really learn is if you You don't have to have all of that. You just got to connect with people, build a network of people who
Yeah.
has some or all of that, and show
Yeah.
them how you can provide value and partner with people and be willing to get a small piece of a lot of pies instead of try to get one big pie. And
Yeah.
then that's how you grow real fast and leverage your wealth.
So you have a lot of partnership going on right now.
Absolutely. Nothing I've done do I own more than 20, 30% of it. So it's
Gotcha.
pieces of a lot of pies and
Yeah.
helping other people make money in the process. Because then what happens? They say, "Man, I'm sitting on 100 million.
Yeah.
You always make us money. What you want to do with this?" So I
Wow.
realized I didn't have to have the resources. I need to know how to provide value to the resources and be a steward of it,
Uh-huh.
and show that I can bring some deals to the table. For example, hey, let me go find these apartment buildings, and I don't have no money, but I'll go make the deal happen and bring the contracts, and you guys use your money. I guarantee you 10% return on your money. Then they
Mm.
start saying, hey, let this guy make our money work for us. In a process, you build a wealth for yourself.
Where have you been finding those people? Because that's one question a lot of people ask. Okay, how do I find people like that that I can partner with?
Well, you know what, man? I actually got into, you probably heard the term infinite banking. I got into it about
Of
6 years
course.
ago. So I started doing the infinite banking, building my insurance policies, and using that
Uh-huh.
cash value to loan to other people, small businesses, etc.,
Mm.
to grow their company and paying myself back. And I was like, wow, I'm like my own bank, but I'm also their bank. And then what happened was those companies started coming back and saying, hey, we need to borrow more, or I got a bigger company who wants to borrow from you. So it just
Wow.
started making me realize that if I can keep building these cash value policies, loaning to other people, I'm only paying
Yeah.
back 3, 4%. They paying me back 15%. I'm still saving them 10, 20% off their credit cards. It became a snowball effect.
I love it. We're gonna have to have you come back for round two to just talk about that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
So to wrap things up, right? For any entrepreneurs out there, you mentioned a few different things: leverage, leverage people, leverage time, leverage your own money. What would be that one small best tips you would share with them to really help them even go to that $1 million mark to where you are at now, the $50 million mark?
I'm going to give you two quick things. Number one, don't chase money, chase opportunities.
Mm,
A lot of people problem is they'll say, I got an idea, but I don't have the money. No,
okay.
no. If you got the opportunity, write that down, build that opportunity. We'll find you the money, because there's people sitting here on money and they want their money to work for them. Because what wealthy people know is if your money's sitting in the bank, you lose your money. Inflation
Yeah.
alone, you lose your money. So they don't have the ability to do the ideas. You got the
Mm,
idea, you'll find them. You asked the earlier question, how do I find those people? It's just about doing what you did. I go to networking events. I tell
yeah.
people what I do. I'm constantly listening. We'll listen to your podcast and people like that who just really give me nuggets of information, and then you just go out there and just find people, man. I go to networking events that don't even have nothing to do with investment. I mean, I went to a networking event about building quilts, found out that the people who build quilts are mostly retired wealthy people,
Huh.
and I started getting networks with them and saying, hey, how about you give me 20% of this money you got, and I'll return you this because I got people who want to borrow. So
Oh,
now
wow.
I'm pooling their money and not just loaning mine, I'm loaning theirs. And now we got this private equity company.
I love it.
I think the
Robert,
second thing I would just
thank-
simply say, man, is just quit trying to be so smart and wait till everything's perfect to get started. Man, if you got a great
mm,
idea, just go get started.
I
Let
love
people
it.
know what you do, and
So
you'll be amazed.
how do people get in touch with you, man? If they want to do deals with you. How do they find you?
Well, man, I got 16 companies, so I would tell you the best thing to do is one of me and my business partners, and that's actually what I met you at through
Yeah.
the Invest Connect. We launched a company called Seeds for Wealth, and you can go to the website. It's the letter S, the number four,
Mhm.
wealth. So s4wealth.com,
Okay.
and I'm also on social media that way. Best way to reach me, go to seeds4wealth.com. S4wealth.com is the website. Because the whole point of what we do is teach people how to build wealth, how to make their
Yeah.
money work for them, and we got these 4 pillars that we use to teach anybody what I'm trying to explain now, which is mindset,
Yeah.
education, investments, and leveraging. Become a master leverager.
Mm. Guys, this was Robert Vaughn killing it in our podcast today. Thanks for coming in, brother.
Hey, man, we'll see you soon. Anytime, call me.